The definition of accept in Webster's dictionary is to receive willingly, to agree to. To receive willingly would mean that you have to have it in your will. So you will let it happen. I say all that to say this. The 1% is the 1%. They can only do what the 99% will let them do. The way they're going about it is very sophisticated. I can appreciate it from a psychological standpoint. Although they own all the media, although they own, well, mainstream media, although they own the politicians, the Congress, the president, although they own all the money and the money supply itself, if all of us wanted to overturn them, we could do it. That's why they're trying to get us to accept the Great Reset, the New World Order, whatever you want to call that. We'll get into that more specifically in future videos. It reminds me of a clip from that movie, Bug's Life. For those of you unfamiliar, Bug's Life is about a colony of ants. These ants have to have grain to survive. A percentage of that grain goes towards the grasshoppers because the grasshoppers threaten to crush the ant. There's a scene in that film where one of the grasshoppers says something to the extent of, if one ant came against us, we could crush them. But if all of them come against us and they realize the power they actually have over us, then we're done. That's why they had to use intimidation. There's different ways to get somebody to do something. Right now, what the media is trying to do, what the elites are trying to do, is to get us to accept the Great Reset. One of the ways they're trying to get that to transpire is by getting us to hate the United States. What they're doing with people who are minorities, everybody who's not a straight white male, women, African Americans, Asians, Latinos, they're trying to talk about how the founders of the United States were racist, sexist slave owners. The entire founding of America is illegitimate. And because it's illegitimate, it must be changed. Now, America has its problems, but think about it. The whole reason that we can criticize our leaders is because of the Constitution. Even in Canada, if you don't refer to people by their pronouns, then you can be fined and even arrested in some cases. In America, we have the unique privilege of being able to speak out on how we want. We have the freedom to go to political rallies. We have the freedom to bear arms. We have the freedom to not be searched without a warrant or without probable cause by law enforcement. We have the right to a trial, all because of the Constitution. No other country has something so unique. No other country has so many privileges for the citizenry. In order to get rid of that, they want to point out that the Constitution was signed by racist, sexist, homophobic, bigoted, transphobic, I don't even know. You go down the list. All the identity politics. It was signed by white man that didn't care about anybody else. Now, I'm a student of history. I've read about Spain. I've read about France. I've read about the United States. I've read about the Arabic Empire, which most of these people didn't even know existed. I've read about Saudi Arabia. I've read about the British Empire. I've read about the Mongolian Empire. Well, the Mongol Empire is what it was called, which is now modern day Mongolia. But you get the point. China, Japan. Every single country was founded by people that looked like them. Even in some countries to this day, if you go to Japan or India, and you're a foreigner, they don't accept you as part of their country. They don't accept you as part of their group. It is what it is, right? In the United States, you can become American. It's easy. People don't care how you look. But number one is they want to get people who are not straight white males to hate America and to accept its demise. You see so many people celebrating it. The problem is when you create a power vacuum, it sucks in people who want power, which I'll get into in a second. But people like me that are straight white males, the majority of the country, they want you just to, oh, I'm white, I'm so bad. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. You can't undo what's already been done. Let me say that again. You can't undo what has already been done. They want you to feel guilty for something you didn't do. My issue is if I do something that is messed up, I'm 100% going to pay for it. If I wreck into your building, I'm going to pay for the damages. If I punch you in the face, I have to face the consequences. But I'm not going to pay money like reparations for something I didn't even do, right? But they want to get me to feel guilty. That way, I will submit. And if I don't agree to it, if I say I like America, I like the Constitution, I'm a racist, right? And they want to use that charge of racism in order to stop me and people who think like me from letting America go down the drain by making people think that America was founded as a racist, sexist, homophobic country. See? And the way they do this in the modern day is very sophisticated, the way they do it. If you have a Band-Aid and you rip it off, you're going to have a wound under it, right? That's what they're doing, essentially. They're pointing out things from the past. Anytime an African American gets shot by a police officer, it's broadcast all over the media, right? Even though if you look at the top 10 deaths of African Americans last year, being shot by police officers wasn't even on the list. Yet they don't want to show you that, right? Same thing with women. If you watch commercials on TV, they always show women empowerment. They show the strong, powerful woman. And they show Title IX. They show, again, I'm for history. I'm a student of history. I think we should all learn it. But I don't think we live in the 1950s anymore. I don't think we live in the 1940s anymore. They want to show you that old footage to get you angry, to get you upset. And the way they do this is through divide and conquer. When Britain or Rome would want to overtake an area, they would turn both sides against each other. When Britain was trying to control India, they turned the Muslims, they turned the Christians, they turned the Hindus, they turned everyone against one another in order to get them fighting with one another. That way, number one, they wouldn't come together and fight the real enemy. Number two, they'd be too busy fighting amongst themselves in order to get anything to happen. And that's why they're trying to get black people to hate white people now, white people to hate black people, and so on and so forth. That way, we're spending all of our time fighting one another rather than coming together and going after the bankers, going after Bill Gates, going after Warren Buffett, going after the real individuals who hold power in the country. They're doing the same thing with Vladimir Putin. I don't like the guy, not a fan whatsoever. They're trying to subconsciously paint in your mind that Vladimir Putin is like Hitler. That way, when you go to the gas pump, gas prices are higher, even though Russia only supplied 8% of oil and 3% of all imports to the United States. We don't look that up, according to the Department of Energy, right? They don't want you to look that up. When wheat prices go up, they want you to, instead of blaming the bankers who issued the debt-based currency, instead of blaming the politicians for a bullshit war in Iraq and Afghanistan, instead of blaming the Federal Reserve for printing all this money out of thin air, They want you to blame Putin, who's a bad guy who I don't like. And they do it the same way. They're not very intelligent when you really break it down. Just like they call me a racist for liking George Washington and supporting the United States, they call you a Russian propagandist. You know, I was literally giving facts about how Russia has little to do with our energy. And this guy literally said that I was a Russian propagandist. And they try to do that to shame you. They try to do that to make you nervous. But I'm not backing down. It's like that song by Tom Petty. I won't back down. I will stand my ground. I have a horrible singing voice, but that's what I'm going to do. I won't back down. If you don't have any facts, then get the hell out. If you have facts, I'm willing to listen to you, even if you disagree. If you have no facts, get the hell out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. Another thing that they're doing is they're trying to get you to accept how oil is bad. Now, oil, not only does oil power diesel engines on boats, diesel engines on diesel trucks, buses if you live in a big city, cars if you live in a normal town, but a lot of products that you use require fossil fuels. Tires, paint, toothpaste, paper, not only in the product itself, but to mine lithium for batteries, you have to use oil for that equipment, right? Now, the problem with batteries right now is the cheapest electric vehicle you can buy is going to be around $30,000. It'll only run on a 2 hour to an hour charge for about 75 minutes or an hour. That's very difficult to do, right? Well, that's why they want to talk about how bad fossil fuels are, to get you to accept shutting down the Keystone Pipeline. The only way they can do that is by saying global warming, climate change, get you to accept it. Think about it. They want you to accept willingly, a new world order, a great reset. They want to get you to accept willingly not being able to afford groceries because oil is bad. It's destroying the environment. And the only way they can perpetrate this, the only way they can get you to go along with this is by making you think it is in your interest for this to happen through psychological warfare. One last thing, and I will conclude. There is a principle called the mere exposure principle. Basically, our minds are programmed to survive. That's why you go into fight or flight mode. If you're exposed to something a number of times and it doesn't hurt you, your mind accepts that as good. Do you remember that song, Happy? I'm happy, clap along, if you will, like a roll without a roof. Something like that. It's by Pharrell, right? I hated that song. I absolutely despised it when it first came out, when I first heard it. But the more I heard it, because I used to work at this clothing place, they would play the radio. And of course, the radio plays the same songs over and over again. The more I heard that song, the more I started to like it, the more I started to accept it. And when you accept something, then you start to like it. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to accept oil's bad. They want you to accept America's bad. That way, the more you accept it, the more you go along with it, the easier it'll be for them when they come take over. It's just like in that book, 1984. The very dim thing about it is not only does Winston accept what happens to him, but he likes it. He's at the table playing games and drinking his gin, and he accepts losing his love. He accepts capitulating to the state. Not only does he accept, but he thinks it's what he wants. He willingly lets it happen, and he enjoys taking it up the butt. And that's what they want you to do. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, doesn't matter. Whether you're trans, They want you to accept the Great Reset.